It begins deep in the heart of the Amazon, where sunlight dares only to whisper through the endless green canopy. The air is thick, alive, breathing. Every sound tells a story, every ripple hides a secret, but beneath the calm brown waters something ancient stirs. A creature so silent, so powerful, it has haunted explorers, terrified hunters, and inspired legends for centuries. They call it the Anaconda, the real monster of the Amazon River. Imagine this, a serpent longer than a car, heavier than 4 grown men, with muscles strong enough to crush the bones of its prey in a single merciless embrace. It doesn't bite to kill, it squeezes the very breath of life away. And when it moves, the jungle listens. Before we dive into the secrets of this living legend, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below, because today you're not just watching a story, you're entering the dark, mysterious world of nature's most formidable predator. Hidden beneath the murky waters of the Amazon River, where the world above loses its sound and sunlight turns into liquid gold, something ancient lies in wait. The river seems calm on the surface, dragonflies skim over still pools, monkeys chatter faintly in the distance, and the soft hum of life fills the air. But below, in that thick, brown veil of mystery, there's movement that no human eye can catch. A silent ripple, a shadow that bends with the flow, and then stillness again. This is where the Anaconda reigns, in silence, in patience, in perfect mastery of its realm. Unlike predators that chase their prey, the Anaconda understands the art of waiting. It doesn't waste energy, it doesn't reveal itself. It becomes one with the river, its color, its rhythm, its pulse. The jungle might forget it's there, but the river remembers. Every fish, every bird that dares to land near the water's edge, every mammal that comes to drink, they all step into its invisible arena. The Anaconda doesn't need to rush, it knows that patience in the jungle is power. Its body, a marvel of nature's engineering, tells the story of a creature designed for one purpose: to dominate its environment. Each scale reflects the dull glint of muddy water, a natural camouflage that makes it vanish even when it's just inches away. Beneath those scales lies a network of muscles that move with terrifying grace. It can glide without a sound, without a ripple, without warning. The Amazon hides many secrets, but none as eerie as the silent approach of this serpent. Local tribes whisper stories about the river turning quiet before an attack. Birds stop singing, frogs fall silent, and even the air feels heavier. They say that when the river seems too peaceful, it's because the great snake has awakened. To them, the Anaconda isn't just an animal, it's a spirit, a guardian of the forest, and a reminder of nature's untamed power. Generations have told tales of colossal serpents thick as tree trunks that could swallow men whole and disappear without a trace. Scientists may dismiss such stories, but in the Amazon, myths often have roots in truth. When the Anaconda finally strikes, it's not a chaotic frenzy, it's precision. One moment, the prey is sipping water, unaware of the danger. The next, the river explodes. A massive coil bursts from below, faster than the blink of an eye. The Anaconda doesn't bite to kill, its jaws latch on only to hold. The real weapon is its body, raw, unrelenting muscle that wraps tighter with every exhale of its victim. The more the prey struggles, the stronger the grip becomes, until the very air is forced from its lungs. Within moments, life drains away and the river returns to silence. But the Anaconda is not cruel. It kills only to eat, and even that rarely. After consuming a single large meal, it can go weeks, even months, without hunting again. Its metabolism slows, its heartbeat drops, and it rests hidden in the shallows, half submerged, half asleep, like a shadow waiting for time to pass. Every part of its existence is a masterpiece of survival, a balance between ferocity and restraint. What makes the Anaconda truly extraordinary is not just its size or strength, but its understanding of stillness. In a world that thrives on motion, this creature has mastered the opposite. It wins not by speed or cunning, but by patience, by letting the world come to it. There's something hauntingly beautiful about that, a reminder that power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it waits, sometimes it hides in the places we're too afraid to look. In the endless green labyrinth of the Amazon, where life and death coexist in every drop of water, the Anaconda moves unseen, unbothered, unstoppable. It has no fear, no rival, no hurry. It simply is the silent ruler of the river, the invisible heartbeat of the jungle, and the living proof that nature's greatest monsters don't need to be loud, they just need to exist. It happens in an instant, a moment so swift, so fluid that even the forest seems to skip a heartbeat. 1 second the world is calm, the water drifts lazily, insects buzz, and somewhere in the distance, a capybara breaks the surface for a drink. Then, in less than the blink of an eye, the peace fractures. The water erupts, the air hisses, the jungle shudders. What was once a reflection of trees and sky turns into a battlefield between life and death. This is how the Anaconda strikes, not as a raging beast, not with fury, but with a terrifying kind of perfection, the kind born from millions of years of evolution. The Amazon River is not a clear window into life beneath. It is thick, opaque, a swirl of mud and secrets. That is the Anaconda's greatest advantage. It doesn't need speed to chase, it needs silence to vanish. Every movement is deliberate, rehearsed by nature itself. It glides under branches, around roots, through reeds, with the grace of smoke curling through air. It knows exactly where the current bends and how to use it to mask its approach. The moment its prey steps into the water, it has already lost, it just doesn't know it yet. Scientists who have studied the green anaconda, the largest of them all, often describe its hunting style as opportunistic ambush, but those sterile words hardly capture the awe of what really happens. There's intelligence in the way it positions itself just beneath a floating log or within the shadows of an overhanging bank. It understands rhythm, the repetition of movement, the pattern of the forest. It can wait for hours motionless, its nostrils barely above the surface. Its patience is unnerving, its focus unshakable. The jungle may forget it's there, but the river never does. When the opportunity comes, the strike is poetry in motion. The anaconda lunges with explosive speed, propelled by its entire body. Its jaws snap forward, locking onto the unsuspecting prey, a bird, a rodent, even a caiman if the serpent is large enough. Its teeth aren't meant for tearing but for gripping, curved backward to trap anything that tries to pull away. The struggle is fierce but brief because the true power comes next. In seconds, its massive coils wrap around the victim like living iron. There's no escape once that grip tightens. The constriction is not random chaos, it's calculated. Each coil contracts with perfect timing, synchronized with the prey's heartbeat and breathing. Scientists have recorded that with every exhale, the anaconda tightens further, ensuring that the next breath never comes. It doesn't crush bones. That's a myth. Instead, it stops the flow of blood and air, a silent, efficient end. The river falls still again as if nothing happened. The only trace of violence is the slow ripple spreading out from the serpent's coils. It's easy to call this cruelty, but in truth, it's nature at its most precise. Every motion of the anaconda, every strike, every squeeze is a result of balance between hunger and survival, between patience and violence. There's no hatred in it, no malice, just the quiet fulfillment of what it was born to do. The jungle understands this. It doesn't mourn, it doesn't judge. Life feeds on life, and the anaconda is simply the keeper of that ancient law. What makes this predator so mesmerizing is not just its method, but its mystery. In all its years of existence, humans have rarely witnessed the full hunt from start to finish. Most encounters are glimpses, a flash of scales, a sudden splash, a shadow slipping back into the deep. The jungle keeps its secrets well, and the anaconda is its most loyal guardian. Even in captivity, when stripped of the camouflage and chaos of the Amazon, this creature's power feels otherworldly. You can sense it in the way it moves, a smooth, deliberate ripple like a muscle made of water. Its eyes, cold and unblinking, hold no malice but something older, deeper, a knowledge of how fragile life really is. In the wild, nothing compares to the tension of that single moment before the strike. Time slows. The forest holds its breath, and then chaos, silence, and stillness once more. The perfect rhythm of nature resumes as if nothing extraordinary happened, but it did, because somewhere beneath those murky depths, the river's most efficient predator just reminded the world that power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it waits, and when it finally moves, it's already too late. There are few moments in nature that truly define power, raw, unfiltered, and absolute. One of them lies in the heart of the Amazon, hidden beneath the surface, where sunlight fades and the world turns into an endless swirl of silt and silence. In this murky cathedral of stillness, the anaconda reveals its most fearsome truth, its power not to chase, but to crush. To end life not with a bite or a slash, but with a slow, suffocating force that makes even the river seem to hold its breath. This is not just strength, this is dominance sculpted by evolution. When the anaconda wraps itself around its prey, the scene is both mesmerizing and horrifying. Its body, thick as a man's torso, coils with precision, each loop falling into place like gears in an ancient, living machine. The movement is so controlled, so exact, that it feels less like an animal and more like nature's own design in motion. Every inch of muscle serves a purpose, every scale grips with purpose. There is no wasted energy, no hesitation. The anaconda knows exactly what it is doing, and it has been doing it for millions of years. For centuries, people believed that when an anaconda constricted its prey, it crushed bones, that it broke ribs, shattered spines, and snapped life away with brute force. But the truth, as science has slowly uncovered, is far more chilling. It doesn't break bones. It stops hearts. With every exhale of its victim, it tightens, subtle, methodical, merciless. Blood stops flowing to the brain, organs shut down, consciousness fades. Death comes not with a scream, but with silence. That's the real terror of the anaconda's embrace. It kills with precision, not chaos. The anaconda's power is not just physical, it's strategic. Each coil is a calculation, every squeeze a response. Its muscles don't simply contract, they listen. They respond to the tiniest movements, to the flutter of a heartbeat, to the last desperate attempt of its prey to breathe. The moment the struggling stops, so does the serpent. It doesn't waste effort once the job is done. It releases slowly, gently, Almost respectfully, the water returns to calm and the jungle carries on as though nothing happened. To witness this in the wild is to feel both awe and dread. Indigenous tribes of the Amazon speak of the anaconda not just as an animal, but as a spirit, a living force that represents balance and fear, creation and destruction. They tell stories of giant serpents that can swallow tapirs, deer, and even jaguars whole. And while science may doubt the largest of these tales, there are enough sightings, enough evidence to keep the legends alive. Because in the Amazon, legends aren't fiction, they are simply truths we haven't fully measured yet. After a kill, the anaconda begins a slow, almost ritualistic process of swallowing its prey. Its jaws, held together by elastic ligaments, stretch wider than seems possible. One corner of its mouth hooks over the body of its meal, and with wave-like muscle contractions, it pulls the prey in inch by inch. There's no rush. It doesn't chew, it doesn't tear, it consumes whole. The process can take hours, sometimes even longer. Once the prey disappears into its body, the snake retreats into the shadows, vanishing as quietly as it appeared. What follows is a period of complete stillness, digestion, recovery, and renewal. This process can sustain the anaconda for weeks, sometimes months. Its metabolism slows dramatically, allowing it to survive without food for astonishing periods of time. The very power it uses to end life also allows it to preserve its own. The perfect predator existing in perfect balance. It doesn't need to kill often, and when it does, it's not out of greed or aggression. It's simply nature's rhythm, life-feeding life, power-sustaining survival. What's extraordinary about this creature is not its size or its ability to kill, but the calm with which it does so. There's no panic, no noise, no bloodlust, only precision, only purpose. The jungle thrives on chaos, but the anaconda moves through it like a ghost, patient, unhurried, and absolute in its power. The crushing force of the anaconda is not a display of violence. It's a demonstration of mastery, the purest expression of control in a world ruled by instinct. It doesn't roar, it doesn't charge. It simply wraps itself around life and holds it until stillness returns. In that silent, final embrace, the jungle remembers why it calls this serpent a legend. The anaconda doesn't just survive in the Amazon, it defines it. There are nights in the Amazon when the moon vanishes behind a curtain of mist, and the only sound is the slow, restless breathing of the jungle. The air thickens with the scent of wet earth and ancient decay. The river glides like molten glass through the trees, carrying whispers of creatures unseen. And sometimes, just beneath that glassy surface, something moves, something vast and deliberate, a ripple without a source. To the people who live along the riverbanks, this is a familiar sight. They call it Yakimama, the mother of waters. To the world, it is the anaconda. The river phantom, it's a presence that cannot be mistaken, even when unseen. Fishermen claim to feel it before they ever spot it, a pressure in the water, a sense that something enormous is shifting beneath their canoe. The water grows heavy as if gravity itself deepens. Birds suddenly fall quiet, and even the insects seem to hesitate. The jungle has learned to listen to its own warnings, but humans often don't. The next moment, there's a ripple, faint at first, then growing into a wave. The canoe rocks, the silence turns into panic. And before anyone can react, it's gone again. No splash, no sound, just stillness returning as if nothing ever happened. That's the way of the anaconda. It doesn't hunt to be seen, it hunts to be remembered. Locals tell stories of rivers that breathe. They say sometimes the water itself rises and falls, as if exhaling, and when that happens, you must leave immediately because the great snake is moving below. Many of these tales have been passed down for centuries, dismissed by outsiders as folklore, yet those who have lived their lives beside the Amazon know better. Legends, after all, are born from truth, and the truth is, the anaconda moves through these waters like a ghost, unseen, unstoppable, and everywhere at once. Even scientists who've spent years studying these creatures confess there's something otherworldly about them. One moment, you can be staring into a pool of muddy water that seems lifeless. The next, a ripple reveals eyes watching from below. Those eyes, flat, dark, unblinking, don't reflect fear or curiosity. They reflect calculation, observation, as if the serpent is studying you, deciding whether you are worth its effort. It's not rage or hunger that drives the anaconda, it's opportunity. Everything in the jungle runs on instinct, but this creature feels deliberate, aware, almost sentient. Explorers of the 19th and early 20th centuries wrote of encounters with monstrous serpents as thick as oil drums, spanning more than 30 feet. Some accounts tell of entire cattle disappearing near the water's edge, their final moments marked only by a single swirl in the current. There are sketches, faded photographs, testimonies from tribes and travelers alike. Yet, the anaconda's true size remains one of the Amazon's great mysteries. Scientists record confirmed lengths of around 20 to 25 feet, but even they admit there may be larger specimens deep in the uncharted wetlands, ancient, hidden, and entirely unseen by modern eyes. In many ways, the anaconda is the embodiment of the jungle's spirit, vast, secretive, and indifferent to human presence. It doesn't need to announce itself because the river does it for them. Each movement sends vibrations through the mud and water that other creatures feel long before they see. Capybaras, caimans, and birds all share the same ancient fear, the fear of still water, of places too quiet, too deep. To them, silence means danger. What fascinates researchers and terrifies locals is how the anaconda seems to vanish without a trace. One moment it's there, an enormous, unmistakable shape beneath the water, and the next it's gone. No trail, no splash, nothing but a faint current swirling in its wake. It's as if the river itself swallows its own predator, and maybe, in a way, it does. The Amazon is more than a home to this serpent. It's its camouflage, its shield, its entire identity. The water and the snake are one. To see an anaconda glide away into the depths is to witness the perfect illusion of nature. It moves like a rumor, silent, slippery, half-believed. The jungle never reveals whether you truly saw what you think you did. That uncertainty is what feeds its legend. Every ripple could be the wind or the largest serpent on earth. And so, the myth endures. The river phantom lives on, in stories whispered by firelight, in trembling voices of those who claim to have seen it, in the restless imagination of every traveler who sets foot along the Amazon. For in a place where reality and myth share the same river, sometimes the only difference between them is the silence that follows a ripple. In the Amazon, time doesn't move in minutes or hours. It breathes in rhythms of hunger, silence, and survival. Here, every creature has a pattern, a pulse that beats in sync with the forest, but there's one moment when that rhythm falters, when even the insects seem to stop their endless chatter, when the trees hold their breath and the air grows heavy with expectation. That is when the anaconda begins to hunt again. After weeks of stillness, after digesting a single enormous meal, it awakens with a slow, ancient hunger that ripples through the water like a warning. The jungle knows what's coming. The anaconda's return to motion is not frantic or wild. It's methodical, almost regal. It doesn't move often, but when it does, every motion feels deliberate, rehearsed, and deeply intelligent. It glides through the swamp, its body brushing against reeds and roots with ghost-like precision. The water barely ripples. This is how it survived for millions of years. By being patient, by conserving every ounce of energy until the moment of absolute necessity. Its hunt begins long before it strikes. The anaconda listens, it feels every vibration, every shift in current, every splash of a bird's foot on the water's surface. All of it becomes a map in its mind. It doesn't rely on sight. The murky water hides too much. Instead, it relies on instinct sharpened over centuries, a sixth sense that lets it know exactly when to move. It's not hunting for sport, it's waiting for opportunity. And in the jungle, opportunity always comes. When the moment arrives, it's sudden. A capybara wades in, lowering its head to drink. A caiman drifts too close to the bank. The anaconda waits perfectly still, its eyes and nostrils just above the waterline. It can hold this position for hours, even days, without moving an inch. Then, with a burst of motion so fast it seems impossible for something so massive, it strikes. The water explodes, the prey thrashes, and the anaconda's coils lock into place. The river, once calm and serene, becomes a whirlpool of violence. But it doesn't last long. Within moments, everything returns to silence. The jungle exhales again. Once the hunt is done, the serpent begins the process that defines its existence, the long, slow act of consumption. There's no tearing or chewing. Its jaw stretches, unhinging with fluid precision, and it begins to swallow its meal whole. This can take hours, sometimes an entire night, but the anaconda never rushes. It doesn't need to. Once the last trace of its prey disappears into its coiled body, it sinks back into the water and disappears beneath the surface. The hunt is over. The jungle resumes its rhythm. What's extraordinary, almost haunting, about the anaconda is how it transforms after the kill. Its movements slow again, returning to the patient stillness that defines it. Its massive body, now heavy with sustenance, drifts beneath the current like a fallen log. It can go for weeks without another meal, sometimes even months. Its digestion slows to a near standstill. Its heart rate drops, and its body becomes one with the river once more. Life and death, motion and silence, all flow together in the same endless loop. To the human eye, this rhythm might seem brutal, even cruel, but to the jungle, it's sacred. Everything feeds something else, and the anaconda plays its role without malice. It kills only when it must, and when it does, it sustains not just itself, but the balance of its world. When it's gone for long stretches, smaller predators thrive unchecked. When it returns, it restores order, the quiet, deadly balance that keeps the Amazon alive. Locals who live along the river say they can feel when the great snake is active again. The air feels different. The water tastes metallic, thick, alive. Even the birds that sing endlessly through the night grow silent. It's as if the jungle itself is acknowledging the presence of something greater, something older than time, and maybe it is. The anaconda is not just a hunter, it is a rhythm of the rainforest. It disappears into its own legend, waiting, watching, always returning when the jungle calls it back. Because in the Amazon, power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it glides, sometimes it waits. Sometimes it hides in the depths for weeks before rising again to remind the world that in the heart of the wild, patience is the truest form of strength. Long before humans built empires, before the first words were carved into stone, before time was even measured, the rivers of South America already carried a secret beneath their surface. It was a creature older than legends, older than civilizations, a living thread woven into the story of the earth itself, the anaconda. It has survived floods, droughts, predators, and progress. It has watched species rise and vanish, watched forests grow and decay, and yet it remains unchanged, eternal, a whisper of the primeval world that time itself forgot to erase. The Amazon, vast and untamed, is its kingdom. But unlike most rulers, the anaconda doesn't sit on a throne or mark its dominion with conquest. It rules by presence alone, silent, patient, unseen. Its existence is proof of evolution's mastery, the result of millions of years of refinement. Every muscle, every scale, every instinct honed to perfection. The anaconda doesn't need to adapt anymore. The world around it bends to its rhythm. It is as old as the river and just as mysterious. What makes this creature remarkable isn't just its size or its strength, but its endurance. The planet has changed countless times since its ancestors first slithered through the prehistoric swamps. Continents shifted, climates burned and froze, species rose and fell, but the anaconda endured it all. It has lived through ice ages and tropical blooms, through the silence before humankind and the chaos that came after. It is quite literally a piece of the past breathing in the present. In the heart of the rainforest, this serpent plays a role deeper than mere survival. It's a symbol of power, of patience, of nature's resilience. Every time it glides through the water, it carries with it the history of the earth. To the tribes who call the Amazon home, it's not just an animal, it's an ancestor, a guardian spirit. Many believe that the anaconda was the first being to shape the rivers, carving paths through the land with its massive body. Some say the rivers themselves are its descendants, flowing, eternal, and full of life. Even in the modern world, where science seeks to explain what myth once ruled, the anaconda retains an air of mystery. How large can they truly grow? How deep do they travel? How long can they live? There are stories of enormous serpents hiding in uncharted lagoons, creatures so vast they resemble the dragons of folklore. Researchers have found traces shed skin in enormous tracks, but never enough to confirm the full truth. It's as if the jungle itself conspires to protect its oldest secret, and perhaps that's the beauty of it. Not knowing everything keeps the magic alive. The anaconda reminds us that even in an age of technology and exploration, there are still places untouched by certainty, places where wonder still breathes. It is a living bridge between the mythic and the real, proof that nature's mysteries aren't meant to be conquered, only respected. Its survival is also a testament to balance. The anaconda is not an invader or destroyer. It takes only what it needs and gives the jungle back its silence. When it feeds, it restores equilibrium, thinning overpopulated species and preserving the delicate web of life that thrives in the Amazon. When it rests, it vanishes completely, leaving behind no trace but the quiet echo of its passing. That quiet is sacred. It is the pulse of a world older than ours. To stand by the Amazon River and imagine this creature beneath the water is to glimpse eternity. The anaconda is more than muscle and scale, it's memory, the memory of a world that existed long before human hands built cities or carved borders. It's a reminder that some powers are too ancient to fade, too vast to comprehend, too silent to ever truly be tamed. And as long as the Amazon flows, as long as the trees whisper and the rains fall, the anaconda will remain a living monument to nature's endurance. It will glide through the murky depths, unseen but ever present. The guardian of secrets too old for language and too deep for discovery, because in the end, the jungle doesn't need to tell its stories. It simply lets the anaconda live them. And so, the legend breathes on, beneath the river, beyond the reach of man, in the timeless silence of the wild.